Howdy folks, Charlie here from Christmas on Crestline. Thanks for tuning in, and thank you for tuning in to another episode about how to make extension cords out of Christmas lights. Today's episode, we're going to teach you how to solder the Christmas lights that you just cut. In our first episode about how to make extension cords out of Christmas lights, my wife Jean showed you how to cut these cords, and you make a strand of, whether it be an old incandescent string of lights or a newer LED string of lights, both work the same and both can be made into an extension cord. But she taught you how to cut the cord, you make it into an extension cord. And if you're not caught up with this and you haven't watched that, I'll put a link up here to it so you can watch the first episode and get caught up with us. But right now you should have this nice strand of extension cord, should be about 15 feet long, and you're going to have 3 or 4 bulbs on it, probably 4. And today's episode, Jean's going to teach you how to get rid of these extra bulbs, solder them, and make them completely watertight. That way you don't have to worry about any moisture at all. Now if you're in a hurry and you're in a pinch, you just want to tape these, you can throw electrical tape on the 4 strands that are going to be exposed. If they are plugged in and you do touch the bare wire, it's going to zap you like any other string of Christmas lights. Nothing's going to hurt you, but it is going to zap you a little bit. So you always want to throw extension or electric tape on there. Now for today's episode, to follow along and do everything Jean's going to do with you today, you're going to need 5 things. Those 5 things are solder. If you're curious, this is a 454 gauge Ross and Core solder. You're going to need electric tape, some sort of duct tape. So 6 things, I guess. You're going to need a pair of scissors, you're going to need a pair of wire strippers, and you're going to need a soldering gun. So any type of soldering gun will just be fine. This is just the type that Jean uses. You'll need a sponge. You always want to keep the sponge nice and wet because this is going to be hot and you clean off any extra solder. But those are the 6 things. 6 things you're going to need to follow along with Jean today. So I'll let her talk to you right quick and I'll talk to you at the end of it.
Today we're going to solder some stuff. Now I already showed you how to get your cords down to this point, but you still have a couple of these guys left here. And the problem with that, most of the time won't be an issue, but there still can be electricity coming out of this little guy right here because this will be a live wire when it's plugged in. So in order to get everything all safety and where you want to use it, we are going to take this thing off and we're going to solder these 2 pieces together. So what we'll do is we just pull this guy out to get the wires where we know that are wanting to cut. Pair of scissors, snip these guys right off. Now you're going to take your wire cutters, strip off the wire. You don't need a whole lot of wire. I always have a hard time doing this part right here. I need to get some better strippers is what I need to do. Anyway, so you get these wires like this, and these 2 will be the ones that we solder together to get rid of anything that could electrocute or shock you guys. Now, I have never taken a soldering class. I did purchase a soldering gun online, but this is the way that I do it. A little cumbersome. So I get solder on my wires first. Might have that too hot. And then I just take these 2 wires and I put a strip of solder to connect them. This is where 3 hands would come in handy. And I just kind of glob it on there together. Then I just take some electrical tape. Cover that up. And then I take a piece of duct tape and go over that. Using child-safe scissors, you know, because this is about safety. And you just make sure that you have a nice piece of tape over that just to make sure that it's going to stay together, but that piece has been soldered now. So now we've got one of those fixed. This was an extra long cord, so we've got a couple places that we need to do that too. Last year we started doing these for all of our extension cords, and the first batch they were all soldered, but we were running out of time. So we stopped soldering just so that we could get our show up and running on time. Now if you remember from the first show, there was a time where two of them were together, so we're going to have to solder both of these ends. Now what I did here is I don't want to have to do solder twice, here and here, so I'm going to cut these off and just solder one time. So here's what we're going to do about it. This is a piece we're going to solder. Now this piece goes to this piece. We're going to solder them up here together. So I'm not going to cut these other two wires because I don't want those in my way. So right now I'm just going to cut this one off down here. I'm going to strip these wires. Okay, there we are. So we've got our two ends now. First thing we do is put solder on both of those. Nice and shiny. Then once it's nice and shiny, just going to hold those together. Now again, this may not be the best way to solder, but it is the way that I solder. I'm running out of duct tape, but we'll see what we can do with it. Wrap it first in electrical tape, and we get our piece of duct tape. You don't need a big piece, just enough to cover it. I cover it with duct tape after the electrical tape because sometimes my electrical tape will fall off. My duct tape won't. Alright, so now we've got that piece. Now we've got to cut this one off and do the same thing. So we'll just cut that here. Solder the wire first. Beautiful. I just love it when it's shiny. I tell you, I just love some shiny things. Sometimes I do. Tell that to my husband all the time. I just really like shiny things, and this is shiny solder. I like it when it's shiny. Tape it twice. Oh, there it went. End of that duct tape, but now we've got some trusty backup white tape. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. I don't know if it is for you guys at your house, but it is that time of year where my husband is out stringing lights constantly up on the roof. And I don't know if you've been watching his shows, but we have this dog and he gets up there on the roof with him. He gets up on the roof, the dog. You get it? Roof, roof. Oh, this is a really long cord. I think there's only one left though. And then we can be done, and then we can test it. All right, these are the guys. All right, let's see. We don't need a lot of wire, just need enough to solder. And that ought to do it. All right, we'll tape this up and we'll see how it works. I asked my husband to borrow one of his pretties. Like, I'm gonna need a pretty when I'm all done to plug in, show the world that it works. So I'm gonna borrow one of his pretties. Final tape for this cord is this one right here. And we're gonna plug in this pretty right here. Actually, we're not gonna plug this pretty in because it doesn't fit. I'm gonna have to come up with a different pretty. There we go. It's working. There you go.
That was my wife who likes pretty things. So, and I wasn't quite certain if the camera is going to pick up this pumpkin's LEDs. They're very tiny and they can just fade in and fade out, and I'm not certain if they're even picking them up right now, but I wanted to make sure it's plugged in behind me so you can kind of see it and see what she was talking about. It didn't pop, so I wanted to make sure I included it in. 128 for today's episode. 128. So I appreciate you watching. Hopefully you now kind of know what you want to do. The great, glorious thing about these extension cords is they are already rated for outdoor use. You've soldered them, now they're watertight, nothing's ever going to get to them, and you didn't go out and spend $20 for an extension cord. And on our Facebook page, someone commented that, well, I don't need to make those, extension cords are cheap. And about for a 120-foot cord, it's about $25. And every channel, like say you have a 40 channel box, well, you need 40 extension cords, and that's 40 times 25, so that's $1,000 right there to run one box. So extension cords, if you want to buy one, are cheap. But when you do a big show like what we do, or what you may even do, you need a ton of extension cords. We had 200 last year. We've already made over 100 this year. We still need more. But the great thing about these is they're already rated for outdoor. And when we switch from an animated, or switch from an LED show, when we switched from an incandescent show to an LED show, we had thousands of these. So we have plenty more still to make. But in our first episode, to do today's shout out from our first episode about how to make Christmas lights, or extension cords out of Christmas lights, Darlene Shipe wrote in and commented, great video, great learning from you, thank you, and you're more than welcome. And Darlene, that kind of goes with why we do this show. We want to be a resource for people out there who are working with string lights and have an animated Christmas light show or a static display, but we want to be a resource. If you guys have anything you want us to show you, or if we didn't explain anything well enough on this video, let us know, comment below, and we'll be sure to put something up for you. And if you do use these extension cords, shoot us an email at christmasoncrestline@gmail.com, and we will put that into a future episode. So if you use anything we make, show us a picture of it. We'll put it in a video. Charlie here from Christmas on Crestline. See you in the next video, guys.
My boss told me to have a good day, so I went home.
Okay. 5 is 6 afraid of 7.
Why?
Because 7 ain't 9.
I don't get it.
Because number 7
8. Number 9.
Oh!
You don't even get it.
No. I don't trust stairs because they're always up to something. You do not get it?
No.
Because stairs go up and down, but they're always up to something.
Yeah. What do you call a security guard working outside Samsung shops?
What?
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh. We tell actors to break a leg.
Why?
I don't know. Because every play has a cast.